We have an NHL trade to discuss. The Ottawa Senators and the San Jose Sharks have completed a deal. We'll discuss the details coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have an NHL trade to discuss. This actually went down late last night, and it was a smaller deal, so it's the first chance we've had to talk about it here in the channel. But the Ottawa Senators have made an acquisition to add some insurance to their center position. Of course, we know they're dealing with injuries right now. Shane Pinto is likely going to be out for at least a week. It could be a little bit longer, and of course, they're a little thin in that position. So they've gone and acquired Dylan Gambrell from the San Jose Sharks in exchange for a 2022 7th round selection. So fairly cheap price. Gambrell's a player who's pretty low risk with a potential higher reward, I think. He's 25 years old. Played collegiate hockey, University of Denver, had a pretty solid career there. Came out with a higher expectation, had a solid start to his pro career at the American Hockey League level. Was pretty close to being a point per game guy there in the last few years with the Sharks. He's been kind of up and down for the most part. He's been a bottom six center. Hasn't had a consistent stretch. There's been times where he's had to put in time in the minors. And as you probably recall, Gambrell was on the NHL waiver wire not all that long ago. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, why didn't the Ottawa Senators pick him up at that point when they could have got him on waivers for nothing? Well, the answer is simple. They let him go through waivers with San Jose and then made the acquisition after the fact. He's already been through waivers. So once he comes to the team, once they're able to, if they need to, I should say, then they can assign him to their AHL team without having to put him through waivers again. So it boils down to how many days and how many games played before they need waivers again. And that's a situation where they think they only need help at that position probably for a week or two. So they should be able to get through that time frame. And then if things are healthier within their organization, and depending on how he's playing, they have the option to send him down without needing additional waivers and losing him all over again. So they can add some more depth to the organization and hopefully keep it that way. He's only on a short-term, cheaper contract, so there's no real issues that way. They have a lot of former San Jose Sharks in their lineup, of course, a lot of which came over in that trade for Erik Karlsson, which at the time might have looked underwhelming, but certainly now looks like it's paying off rather well. Of course, their top center, Josh Norris, came in that trade. They got the draft pick that they used to select top winger Tim Stützle, who's a very exciting young player. They also used one of those draft picks to select one of their top goalie prospects, who looks like a real good goalie. Might be the best they have in their system, but time will tell. Is Mads Søgaard, the Danish goaltender. And of course, there's some other pieces, including Rudy Balcers, who's back with the Sharks, and Dylan DeMello, who they traded for another draft pick. But still, they've done well. Of course, Chris Tierney as well. Now, Tierney is likely going to take over that number 2 spot for Pinto, would be my guess. I think he's got a little bit more offensive upside than Gambrell. Ideally, not the player you want in the number 2 spot for the Senators lineup, but he's had a pretty good offensive start to his year. So my guess is we'll go with Norris and Tierney, and then Gambrell will slot in probably in the number 3 or 4 spot and kind of go from there. So we get a lot of former Sharks, especially down the middle on the Sens roster, but hopefully this works out. They had been previously linked to the Blackhawks and Dylan Strome. I would think this probably takes them out of that trade discussion. They're probably not going to go down that road. I don't think they need Strome and Gambrell. They're both kind of players that many feel are kind of fringe players at this point. So I would suspect that likely doesn't happen. But time will tell. You never know how bad the injury bug could get, because it's already bitten them a little bit hard here in the early going, especially with Matt Murray being out as well now again. It seems to be the long playing out storyline that follows Matt Murray throughout the last few years of his NHL career. So let me know your thoughts on this trade down below. I know it's a small deal, but it could have a potential big impact for Ottawa as they await the return of Shane Pinto, who they're hoping will only be out for a week or two. But he's certainly, even though he's a young kid, playing a huge role and doing a great job for them. So we'll see where things go. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.